Yo, guys, Justin Jaynes here with the 10-7, here to drop the hot topic. I'm here in the gym. I'm seeing on social media whose legacy is more complete. That's Ilia Topuria or Conor McGregor. And honestly, guys, huge fan of both these guys, regardless of, Conor's legal troubles, regardless that he's lost a couple fights late in his career. I think Conor McGregor is awesome. I think he's an incredible fighter. I think he's an incredible entertainer. I think the fame and the money got to him. That kind of led to his drop off, especially after that Floyd Mayweather fight. I mean, imagine you go from being broke and here's $50 million. I mean, we can all talk about what we would do with that money, but when it's really there and you have all that fame, I mean, he's one of the most famous athletes in the whole world. I like Conor McGregor, regardless if I agree with his most recent decisions or not. Now, looking at Ilia Topuria, I didn't really like him coming up. I thought he was really arrogant. I thought, his boots were a little bit too big. He was trying to wear too big of boots, but he has shut me up and he keeps proving me wrong. Now, let's start with Conor McGregor here. All right, we are going to Conor McGregor's Tapology, and we're going to talk about him coming into the UFC. And, before he got to the UFC, he was fighting a lot in Cage Warriors, and he already had 2 losses. He had a loss to Joe Duffy, and I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but the guy was only 5-4, and he beat Conor McGregor. So coming to the UFC, he already had 2 losses, where Ilia Topuria has a perfect undefeated record before the UFC and so far in the UFC. Now, we get to his UFC career, making his UFC debut in 2013. Great fight. Knocks him out in the first round. Performance bonus. That's incredible. Now, people are talking about this Max Holloway fight, and I want to touch on this because Ilia Topuria beat Max Holloway as well. The Max Holloway that Conor McGregor fought is not the Max Holloway that we know of today. Look at this number right here, 7-2. He only had 9 professional fights in 2013. He is a different animal of a fighter even now. And some people are saying he's had a little drop off, but even now, Max Holloway is 10 times the fighter he was back in 2013. Then we go to Diego Brando, and this is a very credible win, another performance bonus. I think Conor McGregor has 9 performance bonuses coming on to through the UFC. Diego Brando is a dog, super tough, 25 fights coming into this matchup, or excuse me, 27 fights coming into this matchup. Me and Huzaifa got to watch Diego Brando fight last night in Tough Enough. He came away with a huge TKO win against a very, very tough teammate of mine, Dustin Poirier. Dustin was great at this stage, but he wasn't the Dustin, just like Max Holloway, not the Dustin Poirier that Conor McGregor faced later in his career, or the Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is still finding ways to win. He's still in championship contention. I know he had a tough fight with Islam and lost, and he's had some losses, but again, great win, great finish. But since then, Conor's lost to him twice. We look at Dennis Siver. Dennis Siver, I mean, not an incredible fighter. I mean, very tough, very durable, 22-9, lots of experience, but purely outclassed. Another performance bonus. We go to Chad Mendes, one of the greatest, one of my favorite featherweights of all time, Chad Mendes. But if you guys remember, this fight was on short notice. Regardless, I don't like to just say because it was on short notice, that's why he won. But I did feel Chad Mendes was winning that fight. And if you guys go back and watch, until Chad Mendes gassed out, I really felt he was winning this fight. Now we get to the fight that everyone's talking about, Jose Aldo. And, I don't like it when, people, my buddy, professional sports bettor, who's been on the 10-7 before, Aaron O'Rourke, says that this was a fluke, a knockout in 30 seconds, man. And, I just disagree. And I guess because I'm a fighter and I get a lot of quick knockouts, or I've had a lot of quick knockouts in my debut, is that left hand that he hit Jose with, he's practiced that thousands and thousands of times. And he was even practicing it in the back warm-up. They have it on video. Conor McGregor, it just happened to work out for him at that time. And Aaron is like, oh, well, if he would have beat him up for a couple rounds, make it a little more credible. Dude, that's not how fighting works. And unfortunately, this is a big, feather in Nate Diaz's cap. Unfortunately for Conor McGregor, this is a big feather in Nate Diaz's cap. As soon as he wins the belt, he goes up and fights Nate Diaz and doesn't only lose, but he gets finished. Performance bonus. Probably fight of the night. And it was a great fight, but better fight for Nate Diaz. Then they get back. He rematches him, and he gets the win back for the decision, majority decision. I remember, and again, this is in 2016. I've watched it live, and I haven't watched it since, but I thought I remember Nate Diaz winning that fight. I talked to Huzaifa earlier today. He says he's rewatched it recently, and he thought Conor McGregor definitely did. And I guess MMA Guru made a breakdown and was talking about how Conor McGregor won the fight. Then he goes up and gets a chance at the 155-pound belt. And this was devastating to me because I remember I bet $500 on Eddie Alvarez here, and he gets knocked out. And I kind of want to end at Eddie Alvarez because he's 1-3 since beating Eddie Alvarez in 2016. His MMA record's 1-3, and he had lost to Floyd Mayweather in boxing, but this is kind of where I see Ilia Topuria at. He gets his second fight, but at this point, Conor McGregor's already lost 3 times, and he lost to Nate Diaz, who has over 10 losses in his career. He tries to defend the lightweight belt here, doesn't defend it once, doesn't defend his featherweight belt either, loses to Khabib, gets submitted, goes on, fights down Cerrone. But again, I kind of want to end it at the Eddie Alvarez for legacy, because once you get to that point, he fights Floyd Mayweather and he has all that money. He talks about how the week of his fight, when he was getting ready to fight Khabib, that he was drinking and stuff. And, like I said, Conor McGregor, incredible fighter, had an incredible career, had some incredible wins. But we're moving on to our lightweight champion, Ilia Topuria. All right, so moving on to Ilia Topuria, perfect 17-0 record. I mean, before getting to the UFC, he fought in Cage Warriors, just like Conor McGregor did. Now we get to the UFC in 2020. So he's only been around for the UFC since 2020. Beats Damon Jackson, very tough fighter. Me and Damon have shared some cards together, knocks him out in the first round. Ryan Hall, incredible grappler, knocks him out in the first round. Jai Herbert, incredible power puncher, performance bonus on the docket here, knocks him out in the second round. All right. Bryce Mitchell. And if you guys know, Bryce Mitchell is a savage, incredible grappler, but takes it to him and finishes him with an arm triangle in the second round, performance bonus. Now we have 2 performance bonuses in a row. Goes on and fights Josh Emmett. Man, Josh Emmett is a dog. He's one of the best featherweights in the world. Goes out there, performance bonus, gets the decision win. And then he faces one of the all-time greats for the featherweight championship. That's Alexander Volkanovski. He calls his shot and he knocks out. And people are discrediting it, saying, oh, well, Islam knocked him out first. So, but here's the thing. Alex is the featherweight champion once again. So he got knocked out, loses his belt. Ilia Topuria goes to another division, and Alexander wins it back. So that solidifies that Alexander is still an incredible featherweight. Now, something that Conor McGregor never did. He defends the 145-pound championship against Max Holloway, a much better Max Holloway than we saw Conor McGregor fight. And not only did he defend it against Max Holloway, he knocked him out in the third round, performance bonus. And then as you guys saw on Saturday, you have the former 155-pound champion, Alvarez, and he goes up and he fights for his second belt in the UFC against a very tough Charles Oliveira, puts him away in less than half the first round, and obviously collects performance bonus. He's gotten 6 performance bonuses in a row. Look at this. Performance bonus, canceled bout. Performance bonus, canceled bout. Performance bonus, bonus. Like, Conor McGregor has 9 total, but I don't think his performance bonus against Donald Cerrone was that great. I mean, he fought a lethargic, old Donald Cerrone that didn't even want to be there. He's come out and talked about how he didn't want to be there. You can see in his face he didn't want to be there. Now, guys, I digress. And this is not me talking shit about Conor McGregor. All right? This is me presenting facts to why I think Ilia Topuria is hand over foot 10 times better the fighter than Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is great. He did a lot for the UFC. He did a lot for MMA, but he's not the same fighter he used to be. Right now, Ilia Topuria is on a tear again, 17-0, 2 division champion, 6 performance bonuses in a row, knocking guys out. And, like I said, Conor McGregor has 2 losses coming into the UFC. He's lost to Nate Diaz. He's 1-3 in his last 4. It's from a legacy standpoint, Conor McGregor has an incredible legacy, but you don't need to compare these guys all the time. If anybody disagrees with me, man, I'm sorry. You're just wrong. There's too many facts. The proof is in the pudding. And a lot of people say, well, he lost to Nate Diaz, but then he got his motivation back and he came back and won. And that's a great feat. But to show up 17 times in a row, he was only 11-0. And since he was 11-0, he's put on 6 performance bonuses going against all super tough guys. Not Donald Cerrone washed up, not Nate Diaz with over 10 or more losses on his record. These guys are all killers he's faking. We're talking Alexander Volkanovski, legend at featherweight. We're talking about Max Holloway, legend at featherweight and lightweight. We're talking about former champion Charles Oliveira. He is the legend killer. He's not TKOing guys. He's putting guys to sleep. I'm sorry, guys. If you disagree with me, you're just plain wrong. Tell me in the comments what you think.